Okay, let's talk about some tools at your disposal when you're trying to figure out where a pre-book order detail line came from. Maybe you're looking at it in order history or something, and you want to backtrack through and find the life cycle, the files that it flowed through. And there is a way to do that in DAC. And the best way to do that is to go to the pre-book menu and take option 7. So let's look at that. I take option 7. Couple of functions down here that have similar uh, capabilities. One is looking at the links directly, and then the F22 option, if you already know the invoice number, is a little quicker way to go back through and find things. So let's look at a couple of those. So let's start off with the F24, which is the upper shift F12, I should say. And so you'll see some things. Now, if you see red in there, that means it can't find the original information. That's probably because it's washed out of the system because it's so old. You'll see these are dated April 22nd, 2009. So yeah, they're gone from the system, but the linkage still stays here. But let's find something a little more recent to look at. So I know I have some transactions in here around this date just so we can look. So what you can do is when you find this, every time an item is exported from the Prebook system, it writes the links along the way of the different stopping points or the files that it passed through, and that's really what this whole thing is about. So you can look back at a Prebook default. You can look back at the actual Prebook order detail line that it originated with. You can look at it in current order file. If it's still in the current order file, you can look at it in order history. You can see the related VR deals. Let's just kind of look at this. For instance, this one, and you can restrict by these at the top, but if I do a P here for the pre-book order, you'll see that this one originated from this particular, not pre-book order, but actually pre-book number is where it originated. I can also use the O for pre-book order to look back and see the originating pre-book order detail line for that. This presupposes that you don't purge every day the pre-book orders as they get exported. That is a system option that can be set where it retains information, which is often useful. If it's in the current order file, you can look at it there, and I know that this one is going to not behave like I want because it hasn't found that. So, and we're going to look at a couple of things here. Let's look at the VR deal before I move along. And so if it is associated with the VR deal, you can drill straight back to the VR deal that was involved and see some particular information about it. Let's jump over and knock the ship date out. Kind of roll around through here, find a few things. I have some old transactions. These are not red. So let's see if I want to look at this in the current order file because it's so old. I'm sure it's not in the current order file. So you see order header not found. If I want to look for it in order history, let's see if it's still there. Not there. So different ways to look. So let's look on a different, take a different tack on that just to illustrate that concept. So I pressed F3 to go back, and this time I'm going to do the F22 for a particular invoice to find something that I know should be there. I'm going to paste a invoice number in here that I know should exist. And so here I'm looking up using the other function, looking up by invoice. It saves a lot of paging down if you know the invoice number to use the F22. That's the chief reason it's there. Basically, other than that, the functions are very similar between those. But now if I do the H for order history, it takes me straight back into that order in history. So there are things you can do in here, and you can also use if you're not purging. Say, for instance, if you exported an item to Prebooks and it didn't get fulfilled, and you wanted to reinstate that Prebook order detail line so that it's just like it never exported to let it export again in the future, you can use the O function, which is not on here, to reopen it. And I don't think it's going to work on this one because it's so old, but we'll just try it to see. actually it's not O, it's reset. That's what it is. And so that would reset that. So it's not documented on the screen, but R resets, and basically it reinstates that pre-book order detail line so it can be exported again in the future. You want to know, be careful as you do that. You don't want to reinstate something that shouldn't be, but if the circumstance happens where something exports couldn't be fulfilled and you need to put it back in place in the pre-book order system, you don't have to rekey it. As long as you're not purging the pre-book order file, you can use the R option and it puts it right back, sets its status, it's eligible to go again. So that's all we had in this session. I hope you got a little bit out of it. Thank you for listening.